Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Pauline Esalu, and I'll be moderating the live webinar. Before we begin, I have a few housekeeping notes. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available for later viewing. If you have any issues or questions, please use the chat feature to reach us. And at the end of the presentation, we will have a live Q&A where you will type your questions and we will read them out loud and our presenters will respond. Now let's begin our session. We're very excited to have DDN here to discuss how the partnership between Habana Labs and DDN will enable you to enhance your on-premise AI capabilities. Joining us in this webinar will be Kurt Kukine, Vice President of Marketing at DDN, and Sri Ganesan, the Head of Software Products from Habana Labs. In this webinar, Kurt and Sri will provide us with information on how you can achieve more with efficient and cost-effective AI solution. After their presentation, we will conclude with a live Q&A session. Now, I would like to welcome our first presenter, Kurt. Kurt, welcome, and I'll pass it on to you.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation with Sri today. Having problems. There we go. Now I've got it moving. So really quickly, I'm going to run through who DDN is and a little bit about our platforms and talk about the benefits of DDN when handling AI data challenges. And DDN's been around for around 22 years now. And we've always pursued the solutions that most efficiently handle performance and scale challenges for customers who are dealing with really large data workloads. And we apply our parallel file system architecture to deliver the best performance at a cost-effective price point to be able to accelerate really advanced applications. And so we've been doing this for 22 years, working with organizations that even 15 years ago were exploring things like deep learning, machine learning, natural language processing, all of the challenges that are emerging now into more of the collective conscious, into the commercial market. Right. And so we've handheld folks all along the way of developing these kinds of applications. And at the same time have been working on packaging these solutions to be able to deliver easy to consume appliances. And so we've got a whole bench of expertise that has been proven over the years to be able to deliver these applications into production, which is essential, right? We're currently at the forefront a lot of the AI application development, especially for commercial customers. And what we're looking to do is provide them that easy on-ramp to be able to move their systems into production. And we provide a easy to consume appliance that allows you to scale both performance and capacity in easy building blocks, right? And so this has taken all of the 22 years of experience working with the most challenging data problems in environments that were at petascale years ago, and now allows us to deploy something that is really simplifies all of this very challenging work down to, as I said, easy building blocks that still delivers all of the power of a parallel file system to be able to maximize the entire infrastructure. And that's where working with Intel Habana to be able to maximize the performance of their accelerators is really important, because it is the entire end-to-end solution that drives the application, right? It's not just delivering really good storage performance to the edge of the system. It's driving it through the network and into the Gotti processor that really ensures that the application is getting absolutely everything from the entire infrastructure. And deploying on-premises infrastructure is something that we see as more and more important for folks who are trying to operationalize their AI lifecycle. Right, there's a number of challenges in terms of what customers are trying to do. So acquiring data from a lot of diverse areas. So whether it's different instruments or different text files, different video files, different image files, and then being able to take actions against it, then training the system and moving it into production all takes some kind of centralized planning if you're going to maximize all of the resources, right? And the resources aren't just the infrastructure, right? It's also all of the stakeholders within IT, the data scientists, the business analysts, operations, folks who are acquiring these things. All of those folks need to be considered when building these centralized AI infrastructure platforms. And what DDN allows you to do, right, is start small on the POC level with a single appliance, and then scale to tens and even hundreds of appliances with a single namespace. And again, easy to manage. These are challenges, right, that are beyond what a typical enterprise storage system would be able to support. And that's where things get really complicated for our customers that we've talked to in terms of being able to manage their AI data, right? They are struggling because their systems don't scale in the same way. Sure, they were very easy when you were talking about tens of terabytes or hundreds of terabytes of capacity. But when you get beyond that into the petabyte scale and multiple petabytes of data, then these types of systems become nearly impossible to be able to scale that way and still provide the same kind of performance and cost-effective capacity that will allow them to manage their AI data simply. And so that's why DDN is really the best solution out there for a lot of different AI use cases, right? The ability with our parallel file system to ingest tens of millions of different types of data via high write performance, right? If you look at other solutions out there on the market that advertise really high performance, often that's strictly looking at read performance. But what we're finding is more and more customers, even within their training and production side, are requiring, right, high write performance for checkpointing and things like that, where that is a huge bottleneck if that write performance into the storage is not optimized. And so it's not just about the initial ingest, but then also during processing, being able to provide really quick metadata access times, millions of IOPS out of a system, training, of course, right? Having that high throughput to be able to drive the data into the accelerators. And then during production and success, right, being able to grow these systems and allowing them to be really easy to manage. And so that's where our collaboration with Habana really comes together, in that we've developed an RA that really gives customers a blueprint for not just what the components are, but how they work together and what to expect once you have them. And when I come back in just a little bit, we can talk a little bit more about the reference architectures and the work we've done together. But for now, I'll toss it over to Sri and have her talk about Habana Gotti.
Thank you, Kurt. So you heard Kurt talk about the challenges in the data aspect, and we need to bring the whole solution together. We're working together, collaborating to provide the blueprint, right? That provides you the end-to-end solution. I want to talk a little bit about what Gotti brings to the table and how we're enabling cost-efficient AI training, and that will get basically the combination of the best of two worlds, is what you'll see when Kurt picks up from there. I have to wait for this. Cool. So in terms of the demand for deep learning training, it's been very, very significant. A lot of businesses are actually adopting AI and trying to take their applications and infuse it with deep learning. In a recent IDC study, 74% of the respondents indicated that they're running at least 5 to 10 iterations of training. Over half of them are actually rebuilding their models weekly or more often. So this explosive demand that we see is going to continue to grow as more and more businesses start adopting deep learning for their applications. So one of the other aspects to this is that the same AI ML customers in that study are responding that cost is the most significant challenge to implementing these solutions. So if the biggest barrier is in terms of cost, then as an industry, it's a challenge for us. Like, how do we enable these customers of ours get more access to affordable training? And the combination of what we do with DDN and Gotti allows you to get more of that. Gotti provides you the most cost-efficient training solution, and from a storage perspective, it's DDN, and the combination is where you get the best of both worlds. Gotti was designed from the ground up to optimize deep learning training performance. So you get much better training efficiency with Gotti than with other traditional CPU or GPU general purpose architectures. It's got a heterogeneous compute architecture with a matrix math engine that's specifically for accelerating matrix multiplication, a cluster of tensor processing cores, and these TPCs are where you would run your nonlinear and element-wise operations and accelerate those. We've got a software managed memory architecture with 32 gigabytes of HBM2 memory. And so this is very easy in terms of porting models over, because if it works on a GPU, it's similar paradigm, and you should be able to port it over. So it makes it simpler having the same kind of memory architecture. And lastly, but more importantly, it's very unique in the fact that we integrate 10 ports of 100 gigabit Ethernet RoCE on chip. And what this does is allow a very significant scaling efficiency in terms of communicating across different Gotti devices. We know that for training, it's not just sufficient to solve the problem for a single card. Distributed training is very critical, and in terms of having a very excellent scaling efficiency, and Gotti's integrated NIC ports allow you to do that. The other thing is that you get a lot of flexibility because it's based on industry standards. So you're not locked into proprietary interfaces, and you can basically use this the Ethernet protocol. So if you're connecting multiple nodes together, multiple servers together, you simply need to use an industry standard Ethernet switch, and you can scale out to a large number of Gotti servers simply by using those devices. The other fact is that we have integrated NICs, so we're using far fewer discrete components, so that lowers both the total system cost and power. And all of this cost savings is basically translated back as savings to the end users in terms of bringing that cost efficiency from a training perspective. So the first generation Gotti today is available both on AWS and on premises. Today, we're going to be focusing on the on-premise solution, where we've collaborated with both DDN and Supermicro. We have the partnership with Supermicro, where they have an X12 Gotti server, and we work with the DDN team to integrate a full end-to-end storage solution with compute and networking all packed in, and we'll talk about that reference architecture. So at this point, you may be curious, what kind of cost savings do you get with Gotti? And here I'm showing you a picture of the cost savings for image processing and for NLP. We're using ResNet 50 as a proxy for vision workloads and BERT large as a proxy for language models. You can see that we've used the Amazon on-demand pricing as a way to measure the cost for the training based on the training time. So here, this is showing you the cost per image, the dollar per image. And you can see that for ResNet 50, you get 46% cost savings compared to E100, 60% cost savings versus V100 instance. And for BERT large, you get we've broken it up into two phases because the training regime is slightly different in terms of BERT large training. There's a phase 1 and a phase 2. Phase 1, you get 31% cost savings versus A100, 54% on versus a V100. Similarly, 57% and 75% cost savings for phase 2. So overall, you get a lot more cost efficiency by switching over to Gotti for CV and NLP use cases. So we talked about the hardware architecture and the efficiency that it brings, but without a software stack that supports this hardware, it's very hard for users to take advantage of it. And we've spent a lot of effort in trying to build a highly efficient and optimized software suite, both in terms of performance and ease of use. Our Synapse AI software stack is integrated with TensorFlow and PyTorch, which are the popular frameworks that data scientists and ML engineers use for deep learning training. And in our Synapse AI software, we've got a lightweight framework integration layer that extracts the subgraph that can be accelerated on the Gotti devices. And then our graph compiler and communication libraries take that and build out the recipe to execute on the Gotti devices. We have a very rich performance optimized kernel library, which is used to provide the highest performance on all of these different networks that you might be accelerating on the Gotti devices. We also offer a TPC programming tool suite that allows you to write these custom kernels that if there are a small class of customers who do choose to write these custom kernels, you can code your own custom kernels with our TPC programming tools, register them with Synapse AI, and then basically start leveraging your custom kernels as well. I'll talk a little bit about how beyond just having Synapse AI, we have a lot of assets for our developers on our developer site and GitHub on the next slide. So in addition to providing that software stack, we also have spent a lot of effort in making it very accessible and easy to use in terms of getting started very quickly and empowering developers to go on to our website and get whatever resources that they need to get up and running with the Gotti devices. So in terms of the end user support, we've obviously got a whole lot of documentation on our Synapse AI software suite itself. There are a lot of tutorials. We're providing assets for different types of learners. It could be folks who like to watch videos, or people who like to work, learn from just executing code in Jupyter notebooks, or actually prefer to actually have models that have been ported over. So we have a lot of these assets available on our GitHub repository. We have over 30 plus popular models that we have ported over for TensorFlow and PyTorch. All of the model sources are available there. We've got all the detailed instructions to reproduce those models on Gotti servers. And we publish the performance numbers, the throughput, time to train, and accuracy, so you can get started very easily with these models and be up and running with Gotti very quickly. The other aspect I will also want to touch upon is the fact that our developers don't just live in TensorFlow and PyTorch. There's a whole ecosystem around it with a whole lot of developer tools, libraries, frameworks that are built on top of this. All of the new ideas and innovation, if they get into these libraries and these ecosystem tools, and developers choose and adopt these tools as part of their productivity. So we want to make sure that we are able to meet the developers where they are. So we've started collaborating with, just like we are collaborating with our hardware partners, we're also collaborating with software partners to integrate our software stack and our offering into these popular ecosystem tools and libraries, so that developers can take advantage of what they're familiar and comfortable with, as well as take advantage of the goodness of the Gotti and the benefits that it offers. I want to highlight 3 of the recent partnerships. We've collaborated with Hugging Face to integrate Synapse AI with their Hugging Face Optimum library. And so now you can basically go on to the Hugging Face Model Hub and pick up these models that we have published out there and start working out of the box from using Hugging Face with the Optimum Habana library. We've also integrated Synapse AI with PyTorch Lightning, which is a very popular lightweight framework on top of PyTorch, and offers a layer of abstraction, which makes it easy for data scientists and developers and researchers to focus on the data science aspect and not as much on the boilerplate code that has to go under the hood and focus on the engineering aspects there. So this allows them to keep their productivity while taking advantage of Gotti. And the third one is Converge.io. This is one of the best MLOps platforms out there. They're basically making sure that the end-to-end pipeline from the point where you are building out a workflow and starting with data pre-processing and then building out your training models, doing experimentation, version control, all of these aspects are managed by Converge.io. And we've integrated Synapse AI with Converge.io. So you can use Converge to do to manage your MLOps pipeline, both on premises as well as in the cloud. So we're excited about these partnerships, and we'll continue to grow these partnerships and basically make it very easy for developers to take advantage of Gotti. Kurt touched upon some of the use cases very early on. This is just talking about some of the use cases where our customers are exploring Gotti advantages. We have customers working with Gotti for defect detection in manufacturing. There's customers working on inventory management, smart checkout, several customers exploring Gotti for medical imaging use cases, and autonomous vehicle. Again, this is a segmentation models that they're exploring with. And across these verticals, there's NLP use cases, which can be used for sentiment analysis, question answers, subject matter query. There's a wide variety of NLP use cases across these that Gotti can be applied for as well. I'm going to hand it over to Kurt to now talk about the end-to-end solution and how you can take advantage of both Gotti and the DDN appliance.
So Sri, there's a couple of text questions that may be best answered right now, because I think they're fairly specific to Gotti and Habana. Don't know if you want to grab those real quick.
Yeah, I could read them to you. So one of them, it says, how does ASIC compare to DL Boost by Intel?
How does what compare to DL Boost by Intel?
ASIC compare to DL Boost by Intel.
Okay, so this is a very purpose-built architecture, right? So we have different, across the Intel portfolio, we have a variety of solutions for our different customers. And we offer customers the choice. So it's basically DL Boost is on our Xeon platform. And for those who need a large-scale deep learning training, which is very specifically what Gotti addresses, that's what we offer with Habana Gotti and Synapse AI. So it's you get to choose across the different portfolios based on your use case and the workloads that you're as a customer you're using.
Is XLA by Google supported?
We are evaluating and assessing working with XLA right now. It's basically Synapse AI. We have our own graph compiler runtime. Everything is our software stack, and we are exploring integration with XLA.
Would you have any one API, one DNN wrapper?
We are collaborating with the Intel software teams on finding the right level of integration in terms of one API. One DNN is specifically focused on the CPU and GPU today. We don't have a specific timeline yet, but in one of our future generations, we will actually be integrating and we will have the right solution in terms of the one API integration.
Okay, perfect. Those were the questions. Kurt, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So I'll talk a little bit more about the reference architecture itself. As Sri had mentioned, right, this is a combination of the Gotti processors along with the Supermicro X12 chassis, and then DDN's AI 400X systems. And so we've got essentially 8 of the Gotti AI processors in these X12 chassis, along with dual socket Intel processors to handle the CPU workload. And you can get a little bit more info on the Supermicro chassis itself right there on the link if you want to take note of that. Now, why are we doing these types of RAs? What's the benefit for the customers? And I think it's multiple. All right, there's multiple things here that just in general makes the consumption of AI infrastructure a bit easier. First, right, understanding what are the components that you can use to make this dedicated infrastructure, right? It simplifies all of that pre-planning, because you can have an expectation based on already measured performance, the work that we've done together to be able to publish, MLPerf results and show that, as a centralized storage system, you can keep those Gotti processors running at 100%, which is what you're looking to do, right, in terms of maximizing those capabilities. Because again, right, often folks are challenged in terms of budgeting, in terms of planning for workloads. So really understanding, one, what is this capability going to look like out of the box? And then two, how do I do so cost effectively, right? And this reference architecture is also all around that type of efficiency, right? So we design our systems for price performance. And I think that matches up really well with the price performance efficiency you're getting out of the Gotti processors as well, right? If you take a look at our systems, right, a 2U system being able to drive over 90 gigabytes a second into these processors, right, you have a very capable centralized storage system that's very, very efficient, right? Again, a 2U system that can provide over 90 gigabytes per second all the way into those processors. The additional benefit, right, is again, we're working together to wring every single capability out of the end-to-end system. And so you look at some of the other capabilities that we provide on top of just the storage system is DDN's Insight. Our monitoring tool allows you not just to monitor the storage system itself, but essentially looks through the network into the processor to be able to identify individual jobs. So you can understand the dynamics of those jobs and understand those users who are maybe consuming more resources and work with them to optimize that solution, right? So we look at this as an end-to-end solution, not just a storage system that's attached to a network somewhere. This is a complete solution. And so we provide those building blocks as well as allow you to understand kind of the ratios, right? So a single AI 400X platform can support up to 4 of these Supermicro servers and provide sufficient performance to drive those processors at 100% utilization. And then, right, we're working on plans to scale out from there together so that folks can build really large training instances with this kind of architecture, but completely supported, predefined solutions. So you know what you get, and then all the way through the experience is going to be consistent no matter what scale you're operating at. And so if you want more information on the reference architecture itself, right, again, fully defines those predictable building blocks that give you a certain amount of performance, a certain amount of capacity. Sri talked about flexibility, right? And that's really important as well. We offer flexible configurations with the AI 400X as well that include both all flash approaches to storage as well as hybrid. So for folks who have long-term storage needs, we can also support a high volume of HDDs behind these systems. But again, simplifying deployment, management, and growth because you have understandable building blocks that give you a linear progression in terms of what capabilities you're going to get from that. And you can start small, POC quickly, and then scale to production with the same infrastructure just by expanding it in a really simple way. So the URL is down there to be able to go grab this reference architecture. And with that, I'll let Sri wrap up.
Yeah, so thank you. And we just wanted to leave you all with information on where to go. You can find up-to-date information on our DDN partner page. We're working together on the next generation solution as well with Gotti 2 and the next generation DDN appliance. We'll publish the reference architecture and the solution, the end-to-end solution with our next generation products also. And there's more material. Like I talked a lot about the developer side in the forum, and you can go check that out as well. And we invite you to take advantage of the Habana DDN solution and explore the best of both worlds with this. And hopefully you will get started easily with this DDN appliance we've put together.
Yeah, and really excited to explore the possibilities of the next generation here with both the next generation processors and the next generation of our AI 400X2 platform, which is shipping today. And so we'll have reference architectures for those very soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Kurt and Sri, for all the information that you provided. I know we're over time. We have been answering questions as they've been coming through. So what we'll do is I'll give you an email. If you have any additional questions, just go ahead and send them to us at info@habana.ai. As we mentioned, there is a Habana DDN partner page. You could go ahead and get more information on that, download the solutions white paper. And also at the end of this webinar, there will be a short survey. If you don't mind, please go ahead and take that quick survey to let us know how this was. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Kurt and Sri.
Thank you.
Bye.